What's good with the YouTube? A convict's perspective. It's your boy, Big Flacco, sliding through, smashing through, as always, with my co-host, Big Senor Rojo. As always, with a little bit of energy, man. We're gonna get straight to it, man. We got this fire content. We're gonna bring directly to the people, man. A lot of you guys been asking, and I've done a lot of research on an individual named Andrew Mad Dog Cervantes de Stocktone, longtime NF member. But we're going to start this before we go into a spill a little bit about his past history and some of the things he was involved in and a little bit more of the intricate details of his service as an NF member. We're going to first have Rojo read the last article on his current indictment that he was indicted with in the past.
All right, man. This stuff's from justice.gov. This is Department of Justice. This is one of the official filings. This is all the way back in December of 16. But we're just trying to give you as much history as we can about this guy. And it says the top Nuestra Familia leader and 3 other gang members sentenced for murder and racketeering. Oakland, California, 4 members of the Nuestra Familia criminal organization, including the top gang leader, were sentenced to federal prison today for racketeering, murders, robbery, drug offenses, and related acts, announced U.S. Attorney Brian Stretch. U.S. Assistant Attorney Leslie Caldwell of the Justice Department's Criminal Division and Federal Bureau of Investigation Special Agent in charge, John F. Bennett. Today, 4 additional members of the Nuestra Familia gang were sentenced for the heinous crimes they perpetrated upon our community, bringing to 12 the number of defendants sentenced as a result of this investigation, Brian Stretch said. Today's sentences have a special significance in light of the court's findings that the 3 defendants were among the highest ranked members of the organization internationally. The sentences reflect the egregious conduct of the defendants who lured and intimidated younger members of the community into being the next generation of gang members ready to accept a life of crime, drugs, and violence. It is with gratitude and appreciation that we congratulate the FBI, the Bureau of Prisons, and the scores of local law enforcement officials who have brought the 6-year investigation to a successful conclusion. Now let's note this real quick, man. You see how long these investigations are going down. You know, this one, Operation Quiet Storm, was 5, plus actually really 3 more. You know, this one's 6. Black Widow was 5 or 6. That's why it's a wrap when the feds come get you. They've had many years. It's not they did a 2-week investigation and you know they got some sloppy work coming for you. These guys are putting in years, and they're the best of the best that their particular departments have. Criminal enterprises like Nuestra Familia may spawn in prisons, but they often spread into our communities and to our streets, bringing violence and mayhem with them, Attorney General Caldwell said. We will continue to target these criminal organizations, dismantle their leadership, and return the violent offenders to prison. Nuestra Familia leader Andrew Cervantes, 60, aka Mad Dog of Stockton, California, was sentenced to 36 years in prison. Henry Cervantes, 52, also known as Happy of Lodi, California, was sentenced to 75 years in prison. Alberto Lades, 48, also known as Bird of Salinas, California, was sentenced to life plus 10 years in prison. Jaime Cervantes, 33, aka Hennessy of San Mateo, California, was sentenced to 32 years in prison. See these numbers? 32 is the lowest. Keep that in mind. The 4 defendants were convicted of racketeering, conspiracy, and other offenses following a 3-month trial before U.S. District Judge Yvonne Gonzalez Rogers. At today's sentencing, Judge Gonzalez Rogers found that Andrew Cervantes was the top-ranking leader or so-called overseer of the Nuestra Familia. Andrew Cervantes led the criminal organization from a federal prison complex in Pennsylvania, using coded letters and telephone calls to communicate to his underlings. He orchestrated and oversaw regiment commanders who generated money through drug sales and other crimes, such as robbery. The money was then sent up the chain to high-ranking members in prison. According to evidence introduced at the trial, Andrew Cervantes used coded letters to order his fellow gang members to kill a fellow Nuestra Familia gang member for failing to uphold the rules of the organization. A videotape was played at the trial showing the man being stabbed 13 times in a cafeteria in a federal prison in Louisiana shortly after coded letters were written. Henry Cervantes and Alberto Lades were Andrew Cervantes' 2 highest ranking street commanders in charge of Nuestra Familia's Bay Area street regiments. In September of 2011, Henry Cervantes stabbed 2 people to death in an apartment in Oakland. He then ordered 2 of his underlings to destroy the crime scene by pouring gasoline over the bodies and lighting them on fire. Alberto Lares orchestrated the murder of a rival in San Jose. According to evidence at the trial, him and 2 of his underlings traveled to San Jose, lured the rivals to their location with phone calls, and then executed them with point-blank shots to the face and neck. Jaime Cervantes was recruited by Lares to join the gang in 2010. In the span of just over 1 year, Jaime Cervantes participated in 3 armed robberies on behalf of the gang and stabbed a rival at the direction of his carnal, Lares. Nuestra Familia is a prison gang that originally formed in the California state prison system in the 1960s. Nuestra Familia leaders control and direct the gang's criminal activities both inside and outside of the prison. The defendants were members or associates of the federal branch of the Nuestra Familia, which was controlled by 2 principal overseers incarcerated in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, which included Andrew Cervantes, Lares, Henry Cervantes, were also senior gang members who reported to Andrew Cervantes. They said that kind of weird, forgive me, you guys. Lares recruited individuals, including Jaime Cervantes, to commit crimes on behalf of the gang, and Henry Cervantes supervised the criminal activities of the gang in the Oakland and surrounding areas. In 2010, Henry Cervantes and Lares were released from the BOP after serving sentences for racketeering conspiracy convictions in 2004 involving the distribution of controlled substances on behalf of the Nuestra Familia. Evidence presented at trial established that from approximately fall of 2010 through March of 2013, under the supervision of Henry Cervantes and Lares, members and associates of Nuestra Familia engaged in the trafficking of methamphetamine, cocaine, and heroin, and committed robberies to raise money for themselves and the gang. At the direction of Andrew Cervantes, Lares instructed his subordinates to send proceeds from their criminal activities to the commissary accounts of gang leaders incarcerated in several BOP facilities, including the account of Andrew Cervantes. Lares communicated with Andrew Cervantes primarily through prison phone calls and correspondence using coded language. The evidence presented during the trial included proof of the defendant's involvement in several gang-related murders and attacks, including the following. In September of 2011, Jaime Cervantes and another gang member burned the bodies of 2 murder victims in an apartment in Oakland based on orders from Henry Happy Cervantes. In January of 12, Jaime Cervantes and 2 other gang members committed a home invasion robbery of a drug dealer. During the robbery, Jaime Cervantes beat 1 victim over the head with a baseball bat and another victim was shot. In August 2012, Lares and 2 other gang members traveled to San Jose and lured another gang member suspected of cooperating with law enforcement to a meeting where he was shot to death while sitting in his vehicle. In late 2012, while incarcerated at U.S. Penitentiary Lewisburg in Pennsylvania, Andrew Cervantes ordered via coded letters the murder of an inmate at USP McCreary in Kentucky. In March of 2013, the inmate, who Andrew Cervantes believed had violated gang rules, was assaulted and stabbed by 2 Nuestra Familia inmates in the prison dining facility and survived. The government introduced a video at trial of this stabbing. Today's sentencing marks the culmination of a 6-year investigation and prosecution of Nuestra Familia, which resulted in the convictions of 12 members and associates of the gang. 8 co-defendants previously pleaded guilty to racketeering and other offenses and were sentenced to terms of imprisonment ranging from 8 to 15 years. The case was handled by the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, with assistance from the Bureau of Prisons. Additional assistance was provided by Santa Clara County District Attorney, the Oakland Police, the San Jose Police, the Red Bluff Police, the Livermore Police, the Alameda County Sheriff, the Campbell Police, the Tehama County District Attorney's Office, and the Tehama County Sheriff's Office.
You know, I'm gonna tell you something that you probably
I've
don't
never
know
read
about.
that one before. They were getting it in.
Oh man, that they were getting it in, bro. I'm gonna tell you something though that's pretty unfortunate, right? Is same thing with Skip. Everybody knows Skip during Operation Black Widow. He was almost about to get out to the streets. Mad Dog got indicted in 1992 under RICO Act. They were doing a lot of cowboy robberies out there, armored trucks. he had everything kind of established, and he got indicted in 92, and that's how he ended up in the feds.
I remember that indictment. I remember hearing of this one, but I never knew the details.
Okay, so things change. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of history, back history on Mad Dog, because he was a very influential member early in the 80s, and as well as in the Stocktone Regiment, big time. Okay, first and foremost, he had a C number at CDC. Was pulled sometime in the early 80s as an NF member. Held a lot of rank. He's one of the ones that in the early 80s was calling for more people to be recruited into the NF out of Stanlis County. And during the time era when there was indictments in San Jose, Gilroy, when Black Bob, not Black Bob, excuse me, when Death Row Joe and Bobo, and you had the emergence of the new NF, paramilitary structure, the CAT system that they created. He was a part of that afterwards, as far as he got recruited around that time as a low-ranking member. So he was part in the early 80s, right? There's a lot of when you come to NF history, there's a lot of information that is not known. But it's believed that maybe Stocktone may have been the headquarters at that time due to all the heat and attention that was being focused on in areas like Fresno and San Jose, and Salinas at that time. And so at that time in Stocktone, what they did out there, and he's one of the ones that put this together. Everybody's heard of a hood called Little Unity, right? In Stocktone, Chino and all them cats that put that together. Mad Dog is one of the ones that was influential in creating Little Unity. And see, what Little Unity was created, they were basically baby C's at that time. A lot of them became Nuestra members. They were one of the first street gangs in the 80s in Northern California that was kind of symbolic to how the Chino Centers used to be for the NF in the late 70s, right? Little Unity was probably one of the first street regiments that was out there that was created by the NF to take care of business. They were doing a lot of armored truck robberies. They were doing a lot of home invasions. They were doing a lot of taxation. Stocktone was on the map in the 80s as far as NF's influence, okay? So much influence that when they had a meeting in September of 1990, it's in court documents as far as in the Silencio case and all that. He's the one that went down to San Jose at a female Lisa Cuevas house, you know what I mean? And she's, as a matter of fact, she's doing good. She's a born again Christian doing good with her life. But they had a meeting at her house in 1990 in September. He's the one that actually demoted dump truck Louis Chavez and put Lucky Shelton in charge. So that's how much authority and how much status he had at that time as far as an NF member in 1990 to go into the San Jose Regiment and replace who was going to be in charge of the San Jose Regiment. Okay, he ends up getting indicted around 1992. Like I said, anybody from Stocktone, if you want to know something about the NF's presence out there in the 1980s, Little Unity, like I said, man, was one of the main hoods that they were using to conduct all their activities out there. Stocktone was a recognized street regiment. It's one of the places where they had the most influential Nuestra members in the early 80s. Okay, so he ends up getting indicted around 1992. And so at that time, you only had maybe about 2 other NF members that were in the system. You had Pony Boy, right? And a couple of people said that he wasn't recognized as a C, but I've always heard for Pony Boy to be a C, especially that was part of the reasons why Lucky Mendoza got hit is he was dating an ex-C's old lady. So there's a little debate. A couple of people say that Pony Boy Mares wasn't recognized as a C, but that he was actually Skip's boy. I don't know.
I heard that he was personally.
I heard the same thing.
But I mean, I've never seen his name on an official declaration. Because man, back in the 90s at the time, end of 96, there was a list compiled by the Mesa members that contained the names of all active Cs as well as all active targets, not necessarily all dropouts, but ones that were targets. You know what I mean? And I don't remember seeing that name on the list, man, you know, but I've heard from a lot of higher, you know, members with some longevity in their career that he was.
I've heard the same thing, that he was a C. It was someone that was in the feds that told me, though, that they didn't think that he was being recognized as a C. I don't know.
We'll find that out. We can find that out.
I've always been told that he was. Okay, so you had him, Pony, and then you had Tarzan. Only C's that were in the system. And so they were keeping these NF members separate as far as they weren't around anybody, they weren't around certain individuals like that. A lot of them had been doing so much time, they were meeting securities. So here comes Operation Black Widow. right? All these seeds hit the system, right? So of course everybody gets in line. I mean, these guys finally feel like the sacrifices they made, that they're back in the organizations, they're back in good graces. Now they're starting to put to work. So what ended up happening with Mad Dog was appointed control of all federal street regiments. That was his position. You know what I mean? Because he'd been a long time member. He caught his case in the feds, and Corny and all them and Pinky, they know him from way back in the day. So he was well respected. So, you know, Tarzan, they were acknowledged as captains. So was Mad Dog. And they were placed in sword and authority positions for the sacrifices they had made. And one of the things that he was put in position is to be in charge of the street regiments. So he had put Happy in control of the Bay Area. He had put his brother, allegedly, Joker, in charge of Stockton. His brother wasn't even an NF member, from my understanding, but he had still given the authority to be in charge of Stockton. He was still locked up at the time. So they talk about this hit that happened in Louisiana, okay, through coded messages. You know what I'm saying? So that goes back to me thinking, like, the only way you can decipher a code, if it's proper NF code the way it's supposed to go do, only one that can decipher that code is between you and an individual you communicate with. So I don't know how the feds were able to look at this and decipher that he ordered a hit. And the person that they're talking about that got hit was Charlie O, as a matter of fact. What the reasons are, I've heard different reasons. I've heard he disrespected Skip. I heard he disrespected the NF. I heard all kinds of different things. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of individuals who are going to provide their input. So please let us know about that. But that was part of his indictment. He was set to get out around 2016, right? I mean, around 2014, he was supposed to get out. But this goes back to things we talked about, man. When we talk about those old timers, you know, he'd been down since like 1992 on that indictment, I believe. And so they have that old mindset. So when Happy, Bird, and all these guys got out there, they were out there in the streets doing some cowboy stuff, man. They had these homeboys doing bank robberies, you know, burning bodies and stuff. You know what I mean? Even that individual they talk about in San Jose that got whacked, that was supposed to be, from my understanding, that was a seed named Martin Kung Fu Chacon that got hit. I don't know the details of it. I don't know if they alleged he was telling. I heard from other people it was a power struggle that was going on, that he actually spoke out. I don't know. I don't have the details of that, but I'm pretty sure some people out there. But this is who the individual Mad Dog is, man. I mean, he's been an influential member for a long, long time, man. And I think for him, you know, being down since 1992, I mean, imagine that. You've been in the system from 1992. You ain't been around any homeboys. You got Pony Boy somewhere down there. You got Tarzan over here. You know what I mean? You're lucky to be on a yard with like one or two homeboys. You know what I'm saying? For like 16 years. And next thing you know, the feds just get hit deep with homeboys. And now you're given a position of authority. Now, how you act on that position of authority is, I think he took some of his scoring from the past, how it was in the early 90s, in 89, where they used to send codes in riddle. You can't do that stuff no more, man. The feds are on top of that, man. So, I mean, this is what happened with Mad Dog in this case right here, is he got indicted right before he was set to get out. So everything that allegedly Happy and Bird were doing out in the streets, and Spider and all these other individuals, was under the jurisdiction of Mad Dog Cervantes.
Hey, you want to hear something funny? Speaking about, you know, it's a little bit off topic, but not really. Me and Porky from Daly City, sometimes we'd send out letters that made absolutely no sense whatsoever, but it was a normal letter. You know what I mean? And we were authorized to do this by Tibbs because he thought it was funny to mess with the people up in the office reading the mail. So, man, me and Porky would write letters like, "How you doing? Wow, orange is a cool color, don't you think? What time is the baseball game?" Just random stuff. And Tibbs would be like, he'd read it and he'd be like, ah. Hey, you know, so hey, OG had a good sense of humor, man. But man, we play with them a lot, bro, you know, because they're reading. Dude, our mail, when I was there in 90, 95, 96, our mail would literally take 20 to 30 days to get to us.
Yeah.
So, you know, okay, you guys want to play? We're going to play back. And me and Flacco from Santa Rosa did the same thing a few times, man. When I remember back in the days, I'm like, hey, you want to run something funny? You know, like, you want to play with our stuff and slow down our stuff? We're going to make your job twice as good, because they're going to get one of them letters and automatically going to think it's a code. So now you're going to work for your money. You know what I mean?
Who came up with that idea?
Me?
You?
Yeah. Hey, Tim's let me run with it though. He's like, he just said basically, you know, fuck them dudes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. This whole
There's no
case,
reason to get, hey, there's no reason to get a Christmas card January 26th, bro. That's
but see,
disrespectful. You know what I mean?
but see, I've seen the additional, like we brought this up. This is the third time I'm bringing it up. I've seen the updated appeal on this case. You know what I'm saying? And they brought up communications, skips communications. It's the same thing, man. Using things like Tierra de Manzanas, Washington, Jazz, Mormons for Utah. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what these communications are. I don't know if it's to try to steer them away from what they're really trying to say. Because I know those individuals, they're a lot sharper than that, just to put it out there. You know what I mean? Unless they haven't been able to be in contact with these people, they don't have an established code, so they're trying to create a code. I don't know.
Hey, do you remember the code between the sheets
Yeah.
where you drop down a little bit more than the others?
Mhm.
Hey, man, we used to say whoever's reading this about their mom and all kinds of stuff up in the front office, just bullshit ass letters, bro.
What about the broken vowel? You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
broken vowel. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
yeah, hey, you know,
You know, the one I used to do was I used to
hey,
write
you
a whole.
got to have a little sense of humor because it's so super serious back there, you know?
You know, the only safe way to do it, though, man, like, you know what I'm saying, with codes, is we have a word that we both know what it means.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
that's why I was so ass hurt when they showed me all that stuff that had been broken in Santa Rita, because that's what it was.
Yeah. And you're
You know?
supposed to memorize, you're not supposed to memorize, like, you know what I mean? Like, it could be something small I just bought a Ford Expedition. That Ford Expedition means that this dude's on freeze or something, man. Like something that's totally non-related. Just you and that person have that code, and therefore they can't decipher it. They could think they could decipher it. You know what I'm saying? But technically they're not supposed to be able to. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the only way to
one
have
of
a
the
code,
ones,
man.
one of the ones that I made up myself, man, was you know, for the longest time, man, I had a friend, a square friend who'd write me on the streets, and all he talked about was baseball. He was a big Yankees fan, you know what I mean? But he was a normal dude, so that he didn't know what to write me, but he wanted to show support for me being down. And I started thinking, I'm like, every baseball player from now on is a certain person. You know what I mean? On the roster. So man, we'd write out, you know, 5-page letters about baseball and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And just to see how long they took to get back and forth. And man, we came up with some good ones, man. But the only people who knew them were me and one other individual. And now you got all this, man, they had a stack of letters from me like this, bro, that were all broke down. And they're using multiple different ones that were created for only me and you to know.
Yeah.
No, bro, no. You guys, somebody's telling on me. I don't know if it's you or somebody that you taught that to, or someone you forwarded it to, but nonetheless,
You're not
bro,
supposed to, you're
they
not,
never
that's a
should have
breach
been
of
able to know
security.
what that is.
Whatever code you have, I don't care if I'm communicating with this person. I'm not going to breach that code to anybody. I don't care how high ranking you are. I don't care if you're dancing bear coming in acting like you're a cat 3. I'm going to tell you, sit your cat 1 ass down. You're not getting no information from me.
That dude
I don't care. I got, hey,
bro.
bro, when I got to certain places, they tried to ask certain information. I said, I can't reveal that. I'm not going to breach that.
Hey, they hate it
Unless
when
it's
you say
relevant,
that too.
unless it's relevant to anybody there that's at that household. You know what I'm saying? Then I will expose what needs to be exposed and let them cross-check it. But other than that, you're not getting nothing out of me.
Hey, DB hated me when I told him that, bro. He made my next 3-4 months miserable.
Oh man.
I just told he's like, how much money do you have in this bank? I'm like, $1.78, fool. You know what I mean? Like, why are you asking me that? Me and you do not talk. I've never met you. Oh, you know, you younger Carnales, I'm a cat 3. Man, I don't give 2 shits, bro. You could be a cat 11. I'm not telling you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I had to write Tibbs. I had to be a tattletale, bro, because man, he was trying to get me to do pagadas on the yard and shit because he thought that I needed to be taught a lesson. Like, nah, bro, you're watch. Sure enough, a few weeks later, hey, Rojo, my bad. It's like, bro, I'm not getting in trouble. I can get my own damn self in trouble. I don't need no help. I'm special.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I don't need to tell you stuff, man, because you never know when it's a test either. I didn't know his intelligence level. I didn't know it was extremely low. You know what I mean? I could have been getting tested to check out my security. And then I just go and reveal all this information. Now I'm in major trouble.
Oh yeah, for
That's
sure.
something you could get hit for.
I know.
You know, that's a breach of not only your regiment, but the O as a whole. I told him straight up. I probably the way I looked at it pissed him off because I was like, who are you? Speed on, bro. Speed on. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you, what do you know about Stockton back in the days, bro? Since we're talking about Mad Dog, I mean,
It was extremely active.
him, GQ, Quiones, all them cats, man. They
It
were
was
like
extremely active, and they ain't playing out there. Them boys are a different type of gangbanger. You know, they're like you said, cowboy. They're still cowboys out there, bro. They're getting it in. Much respect to Stockton, bro. You know, as far as that gang life goes, I don't approve of it. I'm not saying I do, but they're about that action. They don't get as much credit as they deserve. And Stockton holds it down 100% and always has.
Oh, I was living out there. Them homeboys out there were with the business, man. And like I said, if you think of hoods that had like I said, an extensive history as far as with the NF, the NF basically created them. Little Unity is one of them. I look at them in the same way that people look at how the Chino Sinners had influence at that time with the NF and how many members. The same thing with Little Unity, man. They were doing
same
that.
thing as Sam. It's same thing as Sam. Salinas East Market, bro. They were active about it, and they gangbang hard out there, bro. I've been out there a lot of times. I used to be on the south side a lot. Man, that's a rough community, bro. And they breed rough people. You know what I'm saying? They're about that action. You know. Anyway, man, I guess that about covers it for Mad Dog, man. But he's still around, still doing his thing, right?
Yeah, from what I know, man, I think he's in. Man, who knows? They transferred these guys so far along, man. But I think he was in when he gave this directives. He was in Pennsylvania at the time, actually, when he got indicted. Man, was just about to come home, man.
Yeah, see, that's another thing, man. You make a nuisance of yourself out there long enough, you get indicted, do your time, remain solid, go out, get indicted again. Even if they can't get you on nothing but another 5-7 years, they get you on a lower racketeering tier. They're gonna make it so you never go home. You keep playing. Even if you're not involved in this indictment, you're not out there participating in this regiment. They're gonna find a way to make a RICO stick to your ass.
You know what, like, gets me though? Like, I really had to think about it, man. Like, you've been down since '92. You're about to get out and see and actually hold a woman after being around men for like 20 something years, man. I mean, is that what people want to be? They want to be with grown men the rest of their life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole better way to live, and like we keep on telling you, man. I mean, I don't know. I just started thinking about that, man. I'm like, some of these dudes, like Corny, man, he's been, you know what I mean, down for what, like 40 something years now? Came in the system when he was 16.
Yeah, no, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. A lot of people, man, they get back there and they've been back there so long, they get tunnel vision. They don't realize, the world of opportunities that exist for them, man. Even as a felon, I still feel like I could do damn near anything I want. There's some things I'm limited to, obviously, but man, it's a wide world out there, man, with a lot of things that you could do that are amazing, and you won't be sitting in a box, bro. I get it. You think at some point you would figure it out, but hey, to each their own. I could just try to tell you there's way more to it.
I got something else to add about Mad Dog. Mad Dog was known to also say this, right? Since he had such authority over there, when Skip got caught up on that one pegada, right, where he took out that one XNF member that became a bulldog, that had those funny style charges. His belief was that Skip did that because he didn't want to end up going back to the state. I've heard that from someone that actually heard that come from his mouth, as well as I've also heard people say that they believe Skip did that because he wanted to get back there with the generals and get back in communication. I don't know. It's just theories that you hear. But I've actually heard that from someone that actually heard that straight from Mad Dog's mouth, that he said the reason why he did it was he didn't, once his time was up, he didn't want to go back to the state.
Hey, you never know, man. Hey, some people have different philosophies on how they want to live their life and what they want to accomplish.
I
And
don't, yeah, like I said,
take
I
it away
don't
from
know.
them, man, but it's
I
not
don't
my
know.
cup of tea.
This person told me this information from his mouth. I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't present. So this is just hearsay information. I'm not going to stamp it, but I
Right.
do trust the person that told me this
Now,
information.
that's been floating around for a long time, man. You hear it from enough different sources. Like you said, man, everything's not always accurate. This is perspective, man, but I wouldn't be surprised 0%, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway, YouTube, that's Mr. Mad Dog Cervantes. Been around a long time about that action. You guys want us to talk about any other individuals we ain't spoke about? Let us know in the comments. As always, have a great day, and we'll be at you guys later.